start out throughout the whole year, I was with Mrs. Lupinski in her second grade class. It was a really cool full circle moment. She was actually my second grade teacher, so it was really fun getting to see it from a different angle. She taught me a lot, and she's such an awesome teacher, so I really enjoyed getting to watch her. There's a picture of the kids in the library. I got to go with them there one day. Throughout the year, I did a lot of one-on-one help, reading tests, grading papers, and just anything else she needed. I was able to teach some math lessons, help out with some reading, read lots of books. And then my second placement, so my mom is actually the special ed teacher at Centino High School, so I got to go with her for a day and work with her and her students. Here's a picture of all of them. They're super sweet, and I had so much fun going. And over the years, just with her being there, I've been able to meet a lot of the students and become very comfortable. So I really enjoyed getting to see the difference between a special ed classroom and an elementary classroom. A lot of her class focuses on a lot of life skills. So in this next picture, the kids are cooking. They do a little coffee cart and sell some baked goods. So it's super cool to see them learn the one-on-one interaction and figure out money. So next year I plan to go to SUNY Geneseo for childhood and special education. I am going to do both, but I think that I do want to be more in an elementary school setting after this placement. So I really enjoyed both, but I think that's where I'm most comfortable. So this is a little part 2 to our presentation. If you don't know, Broden Enders now has a new PK program, and the elementary playground, for insurance reasons, the preschoolers are not allowed to go on, so our class helped come up with a little alternative plan to help make a fun space for them to play. So this is Fletcher, Alex, Lucy, and I, and we also had Tony Quill and Evan Rutucky help out. So this is Alligator Alley. It's a sidewalk in the middle of Broden Street. I'm sure you all recognize it with the alligator statue. But we painted it for a little sidewalk so the kids, or a little road, so the kids could have a place to ride their little scooters and bikes. So in the last picture, that's Fletcher and Alex. We had a lot of edging and cleaning up to do. And this is our final project. I think it turned out really good, and it'll be a nice enclosed space for the pre-K teachers to have their kids. And then one other thing, I just thought this was fun. For work-based learning, we get a little stash to our graduation. So that all my kids that I worked with this year sign it, and it'll just be a fun little special piece to have during that.
We're going to skip Sophia momentarily. Sophia, can you just come up and wave to everybody, sweetie? She looks beautiful today. Sophia's right here. She's a little shy at the moment, but Sophia was able to go to Skanda for the fall placement, and as you can see, Sophia was able to jump right in and learn a lot at Skanda, caring for all the animals. We're going to introduce that first. Okay. She had a couple favorite animals that she cared for day to day, but it was really great for Skanda to have us. As you can see, Sophia did a lot there. And then as it got chillier, we moved inside, and Sophia spent the majority of the rest of the year working with Miss Bailey and Miss Isabel in the pre-K classroom. And maybe at the end you can come up and talk a little bit, more comfortable. But there's an awesome video of her doing the Danny Go dance in the morning with the kids. This is a really fun dance we do. And she helped so much. You became such a special part of the classroom, and I know they're going to miss you so much. So thank you, Sophia, and thank you to everyone here in CAS for having her.
Hey guys, good morning. I'm Zoey.
I'm Delanie.
I'm Harry.
And for our placement, we went to 20 East. So we separated this out for you guys to make it just organized. So we're going to go over where we replaced, what did we do, what we learned, and overall, how did this help our future?
So starting off with where we replaced, we replaced at 20 East, right in town, with Mackenzie Houseman.
So a little bit about Mackenzie. She has her bachelor's in communications and public relations from Oswego. She has her master's of science and teaching from Lemoyne. She started Casa Bienkoswki Block back in 2009, and then a little bit later she started 20 East. 20 East. And she has won Small Business of the Year twice.
So what did we do while we were at 20 East? Again, we're keep separating things out. So we separated this into 4 chunks of what we did: the CAS Life meetings, pickups, advertisements, and window decorating. And we'll get into CAS Life meetings next because that may be a little confusing. We'll talk about it.
So we attended a lot of CAS Life meetings at the Brewster. So basically CAS Life is just a group of majority of small business owners in the community, and they plan fun events for the town. So we got to sit in and offer our perspective on a lot of meetings. These are some of the events we helped to plan. We helped to plan the Christmas Walk, Fall Fest, CAS Night Out, and the Winter Fest.
And we also ran pickups with Mackenzie every other Wednesday. So we would run to Possibilities in Syracuse along with the Curd, also in Syracuse, local routes here in Cas, and Salt City Bread and Manlius, so we can help her pick up all of her produce for the week.
So a big chunk of what we did was advertisements, and this was mainly on social media. So you can see here, Delanie and I were advertising this product. A lot of the videos we did were like fun little videos. So we did like what to buy your teenage daughter during Christmas, or what to get your wife during Valentine's Day. And I hope husbands were watching that. I hope it worked. But and then over here you can see us advertising like an event that again CAS Life planned. This one was Girl Scout cookies that was happening then, so yeah.
We also helped Mackenzie decorate her window display. So this was the big one that we did. We basically just planned out what we wanted in the window, and Mackenzie ordered it all, and we helped her set it up and make it look all nice for the holidays.
And now we're on to what we've learned. So we learned multiple business tactics, marketing products in-store and online, promoting events for CAS Life and 20 East as well, and public speaking.
We also learned what it takes to run a business, so learning to coordinate with vendors for pickups, all very nice people. And we also learned coordinating publicity events and running social media as a business. These two go like side by side. It's just, again, like the advertising and all about that.
We also learned how to work in a professional setting. By going to the CAS Life meetings, we learned the importance of networking and making strong connections with members of your community. So that was great.
And a fun little special event that we did, again, this is the public speaking that we learned. Delanie and I, along with Mackenzie, went for a short segment early Saturday morning at Bridge Street. We just talked about the work-based learning program, how it's affected us, and how like other schools should also adopt this program because it's the best program ever. And we also talked about like the event that was going on during the time, so it was the Christmas Walk. How it's helped?
So it has gotten me very far. Really. I'm going to the University of North Carolina, Wilmington, to study business and possibly minor in finance.
I'm going to Indiana University for business.
And I'm going to St. Joseph's University for accounting, and being with Mackenzie just really helped solidify our decisions. We all knew that we wanted to go into business, but being with Mackenzie really helped us to finalize that.
And thank you so much. Thank you, Mrs. New.
Thank you, Mackenzie.
Just for coordinating all of our schedules all the time. It's nice messages so much for
Good morning, I'm Centino, and I did my work based on placement in cosmetics and pharmacy. I'm going to go over where I was placed, what I did there, and what I learned, as well as how it helped me with my future plans. The first half of the year, I was at H. Gray. There I shadowed the owners, Travis and Alex, researched the ingredients for the new skincare line, as well as creating marketing materials. For the second half of the year, I was at Doty Pharmacy. There I shadowed Amy Austin and Mike Dosher. I usually just filled prescriptions. I learned a lot about the pharmacy software business as well as the different functions of the pharmacy. For H. Gray, what did I do there? I mainly researched the skincare line. So for each of their products, I would go through the first 12 or 13 ingredients and research if they did actively for the skin. This is for the eye cream. This is only about 6 or 7 ingredients, but it kind of shows the kind of research I was doing. Once I researched a product, I would kind of use that and summarize it to create the selling points. Again, this is the eye cream. What did I learn at H. Gray? I learned a lot about small business ownership, specifically ordering cosmetics, as well as what kind of went into idea to market, so going through custom products, packaging, and labeling, as well as the day-to-day of how small business is run. My second placement, Doherty Pharmacy. Doherty Pharmacy has 2 locations, one in Hamilton and Morrisville. And I was at both of those places to intern. What did I do there? I'm going to go through some of the specific processes that I did there that kind of showed me kind of the difference between a chain pharmacy and a small business pharmacy like Doherty's, some of which really shocked me. So the first thing is filling prescriptions. For a prescription to be filled, a pharmacist has to verify it, checking things like patient name, address, insurance, patient history, as well as if the drug interacts with any meds that the patient is currently on. Once that's done, a label can be printed. This kind of shows an example of what the label looked like. I can't obviously show a real script that was sent in, but it kind of just has the drug information and patient information. And once that's done, we use an electronic bill counter, which surprisingly most pharmacies like CVS and Walgreens do not use this. They can count bills, which really shocked me. Using this electronic bill counter really cuts down on user error. So once the drugs are poured onto the tray, it takes a picture as well as counts it, so it's kept for the record in case the amount dispensed ever becomes disputed. Once those are dispensed into a pill bottle, there are necessary warnings added. So since this is kind of hard to see, here are some kind of standard warnings that are used on pill bottles. Next is compounding. Compounding is essentially just taking a pill and crushing it in a mortar and pestle, and then integrating it into a liquid suspending vehicle. The liquid is formulated to inhibit bacteria growth, so that extends the expiration date and makes it more stable. The reason this would be done is to change the specific strength of a medication. You could adjust when you wanted it a more or less concentrated dose. For example, you might want a less strong dose for a child. Larger corporations typically don't do this because it's more difficult to calculate the cost to submit to insurance. Doherty Pharmacy has a different program which makes it a little easier. It's not that the pharmacists at CVS and Walgreens aren't capable of doing this. They are trained to do it when they go to pharmacy school, but since it takes so much time, they usually don't offer the service since a lot of chain pharmacies are already on such a time crunch. Next is filling capsules. Filling capsules is basically taking a concentrated powder of an active ingredient and then combining it with a filler, the one that I used to say lactose filler. Usually about a 5 to 10% buffer of the active ingredient is added. The FDA allows for a 10% buffer to be added. Once the powder is properly combined. The bottom half of the pills capsules are put into this, and then the powder is pressed into them, and then the top is sandwiched on top. What have I learned? I learned a lot about how a small, non-chain pharmacy is affected by insurance and costs. On the business side of things, there is a constant need to order. They get shipments every day of medications in order to keep their stock where it needs to be. And something that really shocked me was that the pharmacy actually lost a considerable amount of money on some medications because insurance claims it's one thing, but cannot find it at that cost. Though that is usually made up for on an individual patient scale if there are other medications being profitable. I learned a lot about the laws and regulations, especially with controlled substances, as well as the daily processes that go on in a pharmacy, including using the program that Doherty Pharmacy uses to fill prescriptions. I also learned about some of the red flags for prescriptions and scripts that are sent in, and kind of how pharmacists are supposed to deal with that. There's a lot of day-to-day interactions with customers and patients that need help, and that really pushed me in the direction of going into pharmacy, which is my next point. How has work-based learning helped me? Work-based learning gave me a direction and a career path I would not have considered if I didn't take this course, as well as helping rule out some different career paths I had been considering. So for my future plans, I'm going to attend Palm Beach Atlantic University starting this summer. I'm going to major in chemistry with a concentration in pharmacy. Thank you so much to Mrs. New and Doherty Pharmacy, as well as H. Gray, for making my experience possible. This class has given me so many opportunities, and I'm truly grateful.
My name is Broden Enders, and I spent my work-based learning time working for my dad at Broden Enders Construction. So a little overview of what we did over the year. So I worked alongside my dad with whatever was needed. We drove around getting supplies for each day. Cleaned up the outsides after the job was finished. Painted siding, framed, operated equipment, installed windows and more. We did a new bathroom installation, worked on new additions, and continued working on a new house. So a little bit more about framing. I helped frame a house from start to finish. Started on the foundation, the floor joists, then the plywood on the floor, as well as building walls, and finally I helped put trusses on the walls. So this is actually a house that I helped him build. And then a little bit about siding. So I prepped and painted the first coat of siding, and then it gets installed and then finished painting. I put together window frames with a Craig jig, and then they go on the house with the siding. I decided to pole barn and help install the metal roof. So managing a job site. So I learned a little bit more about managing a job site, keeping work supplies lined up so the working doesn't slow down. So that's like planning ahead like weeks to keep supplies and subs on the job. I learned the importance of doing paperwork to keep jobs going for the years ahead. So a little bit about some pros. Life skills. I learned about the skills and mentality to work in difficult conditions until the job is finished. Changing work environment. Every day the tasks change, and I enjoy watching the progress day by day. Some days, like with the weather, I enjoy working outdoors because the weather can be really, really nice, and like working on a lake is sometimes great. And then some cons. The weather can also be a con. It's usually very hot or very cold, and some days it can be snowing sideways. And paperwork, I think that's a con because I don't really enjoy sitting behind the desk, and sometimes owning a business requires a lot of paperwork. And lastly, work availability. If the economy slows down, then the work slows down. People usually don't want to do a lot of work, and they only want what is necessary. Like if they need a roof and they could also use windows, then they're only going to pick the one that's most necessary. So a little bit about what I've learned, some problem solving. A lot of jobs look good on paper. So the blueprints look good, but there's a lot of improvising and problem solving to translate the blueprints into a house. Time management, learning to be efficient with every task. Like if you're going back and forth to carry boards and draw up trash. As well as planning ahead to get subs and materials scheduled on time. Again, planning weeks ahead. Responsibility, when someone chooses us to work on their house, they trust that we do a good job job and have their best interests in mind, and a little bit about integrity, just doing the best we can for the customer and putting out the best possible product. So how does work-based learning, how to help me? Some experience allowed me to get real-world experience for a job I might choose to do in the future. Helped me get connections, allowed me to work for a company which I could also work for later in life. Helped me make my decision that I like working construction, but maybe in the future I want to try something else. And involvement. It gave me opportunities to learn about what I wanted to do outside of the classroom. And my future plans, I plan on going to school at the University of Maine, and I appreciate this program. It gave me the opportunity to go out and learn about working, and maybe I want to try something different, and I plan to study wildlife ecology.
I'm Madison Rothfeld, and I just moved of safety home clinic for rotation. So why I did it, I've grown up around animals my entire life. I own 2 horses, 2 cats, and a dog. We had chickens that ended badly, but we don't talk about that. I'm really grateful that this new offer, this placement, it was a really cool experience. It offered a lot of options for the whole year, but like I said, I really liked it. So this is what I chose, and decided to chat over to Mary. After this, I will be attending SUNY Binghamton as a biology major, and with every intention of going back to that school. So I went to Upstate Animal Clinic, it's right in Cas, right by the Tops Plaza. You can probably see it if you've gone to the bowling alley. It's really close, which is good. There's 5 people. There's Dr. Allison Blakely, and then assistants and vet techs, including Terry, Becky, Reed, and Tammy. Don't believe any of them are here today, but I'm so grateful to them. They're so helpful with time and caring and passionate about it. So these are the 2 clinic cats. They live there. CT and ID. This one's CT and that one's ID, which is really funny because I thought it was like IDY for a really long time. I don't know why I didn't get that, but she didn't really like a lot of her picture taken, which is why it's all blurry, but I figured I'd include her because she's pretty cute. Just realized that. So some of the facilities, we'll start with the x-ray machine. It's really helpful. This right here slides, so if you have like an animal laying on it, you don't have to get them to move, you slide the bed, so it makes it a lot easier to move these bigger dogs or hurt dogs or cats or whatever you're x-raying. You can use this to check for puppies, which is really cool. I've seen a Pomeranian with 2 puppies in it, really cute, big, and broken bones, tumors, and a lot of other problems. In here, this is their room where they conduct surgery. This is create a sterile field, and you can watch a ton of things be done. It's really cool. You know, I stood right in the back corner, like you would say, you have to be in the back out of the way, but you can still see a lot. It's really cool. Some of the things I watched was the neuters and spays, which is very common. It's very good. Helps control animal populations, so that's really common. I watched like 3 of those. Hernia repairs, those are pretty common, and mass removal, so like tumor cysts. Out here, this is the main area. This is where they bring dogs. They a lot of times will draw out vaccinations here. They will intubate over here, do dental care. They will draw blood over here as well. So things like dental care, they will not sometimes bring them into the surgery room. They will sedate them and rip their teeth out. It's a little shocking the first time you see it, but it's really cool. And every time they're about to go into surgery, this is where they prep them, intubate them, use that machine over there for sedation. It's really cool. They have a whole setup for forensic they draw blood on every animal that comes in when they are undergoing surgery, just to make sure that the levels are good and make sure they will come out of anesthesia, and so that they will hopefully survive. So that's really important. We want cats to live. What's also really common is 40X tests. They're a SNAP test. They're these little packets. You put a solution, a blue solution, mixed with blood, which is really funny because she taught me that you put 4 drops of the blue solution because blue has 4 letters, and you put 3 drops of blood control because red has 3 letters. Mix that up. You put it. This is the SNAP test. You put it in here. You wait for the for everything to turn. The like filter through here, and you snap it down. You can use it to test for these diseases right here. 3 of them are tick-borne, and 1 of them is for heartworm. They're very important that you know your animals have this because they can be very fatal. This is another picture. This one kind of shows do the solution, and then you put it in, and you wait and snap it down. What I've learned from this, I've learned a lot of communication skills. I've spent a lot of mornings calling up people and reminding them of their appointment for the next day and talking and interacting with these customers. So that was really good for just some like important life skills that may not be necessarily specific to veterinary medicine, but it's very important. There's a lot of stressful situations, a lot of dogs with no manners, and you know, like you have a dog that comes in that's going to bite you. There's been abuse cases, and you know you're trying to check for an ID, microchip, and they're going to bite you. You have to be really careful. So it's very helpful. There's uncooperative animals, and Dr. Allison lately, she comes up with a lot of recent patients along with everyone there. Again, difficult topics. You see abuse cases. You know, people coming to meet the medicine animals. Sometimes things go wrong. It's really sad, but it is a part of life, and it's really important to learn how to handle it. And that's it. Thank you so much, everyone.
Hello, my name is Grace Proby, and this is my presentation for work-based learning. So I had 4 placements. My placements were a little bit of a struggle in the beginning. So we were trying to get me to shadow Dr. Brown because he's an OBGYN and that's what I'm interested in. But the communication didn't really happen, so unfortunately I wasn't able to do that. But there was an opening at Tri-Valley, so that's the first placement I went to. And I went with Dr. Berg. And then I went for 1 day with Reed to Upstate Surgery Center. And then my main placement was at Upstate Broden Enders. So why am I interested in medicine? Well, I took child development and parenting with Ms. McDowell. And let me tell you, that's a class that if you're interested in it, take it. But if you're not, then you see some stuff. And then with my mom, we would watch Call the Midwife. And it just all together, it just kind of like made me think I want to help deliver babies. I think that's a wonderful field. And I also work at KVAC, and I love being there and going on calls and stuff like that. So my first placement was Tri-Valley. So I didn't do much there. It's a family physician's office, so like the one St. Joe's here, CAS. And so I go in with the nurses, see patients, they get vitals, stuff like that, blood pressure, pulse ox, stuff like that. And then this is the I didn't shadow the doctor, but this is the doctor that the nurses that I was with would go in before him. My second placement was with Dr. Berg, who is here today. So Dr. Berg works at Upstate University Hospital as a geriatrician who specializes in dementia, I believe. And so I got to see some patients with her, and then I also got to go with a nurse who did one of these Montreal cognitive assessments, which was very interesting. It was a lot of fun, and because it was later in the day, I got to miss some school. But patients kindly and how to deal with this kind of situation, especially because it's a very sad, upsetting situation for a family, life, for children. So my second placement for the day was Upstate Surgery Center. Did you forget? Oh, okay. So I went to I'll just talk about it. So I went to the Upstate Surgery Center at Harrison Street, and that was pretty interesting. I followed the CR named Molly Brown. I got to see patients being intubated, and then the ending of the procedure, I got to see a dental surgery, which was very interesting. Got to see a cleanup and stuff like that. It was on a child, so it's very wild. And then I got to see a GYN surgery, which was very interesting because that's what I'm interested in. It was a lot of fun. Since it was Nurses Week, they brought in bows and crumble, so we got a little bit of a nice lunch and snack. So that was really great. And then we saw post-op and then waking up and stuff like that. So it was very interesting. And my final placement was with Dr. Canizero at Upstate Women Joint Center on Fly Road in East Syracuse. So Dr. Canizero, he went to University at Buffalo for med school. He's an orthopedic surgeon, and he specializes in sports medicine and I believe shoulders and knees. So we saw patients. We would go in starting around. His appointment started at 7:30, but I didn't get there till 8. So whenever I got there, he might already be in a room. So I just kind of waited, and it was a little awkward at first because I didn't really know anyone. But I'd go in, see patients with him. We see X-rays, we see MRIs. He gave cortisone shots and stuff like that. And I actually got to help with those, as I didn't, obviously didn't needle or anything. But there was, I think it's anesthetic spray or something like that. So I got to spray that, where you just put in a shot, and then I got to use a cleaning solution and clean the knee or something like that. So I saw a lot of those shots. So that was very interesting. And then I saw him do a lot of tests with shoulders and stuff like that. And he used a lot of vocab that I didn't know, but it was very interesting learning about it and seeing him do all the patient assessment. And then I did go into the OR with him on Wednesdays, and I got to go 1, 2, and 3, 4 because he starts at 9. So I had to, I could only go for a little bit, and so my teacher and I came up with, an agreement, and I was able to go through 1, 2, and 3, 4. So I went to the OR. I saw a patellar tendon repair, which was really cool. I saw a rotator cuff repair, which was also really cool. I saw a lot of arthroscopic cleanups. I remember the first time with suction and stuff, it was wild. And then I saw some MCL repairs, and then I saw injections. And actually, recently I was just with him on Wednesday for the whole day. So he did 3 injections, technically 4, but he forgot to get me for the first one. So they did a bilateral injection, so in both arms, and I got to help by holding the arm they weren't putting the needle into, which was really fun. And then I also saw that same day an ACL hamstring autograft repair. That was wild. That was amazing. That was so cool. I won't get into the details or anything like that, but yes, it's just really cool being in the OR. I remember the first day I went in, he was doing something, I think it was a rotator cuff repair, and I had to leave, and I go, Dr. Canizero, I gotta go, and he goes, okay, and he holds out his hand. Well, we're in the middle of surgery, so instinctively I go, and he's like, nah. And I was like, no, that's so embarrassing. So that, the first encounter. So the last day too, got to have lunch with him and stuff like that. And then he's really obsessed with cheddar cheese, extra sharp. So he cut me a slice, and then he's like, hold on. And he put some sriracha on it, and he's like, okay, now try it. And I was like, okay, that's pretty good. So we had a lot of fun, and I got to see some really cool surgeries. And then the things I learned bedside manner. I learned that I have the stomach for it. nursing, and my plan is to major in nursing, work at a hospital, and then I want to go to med school, and I want to specialize in obstetrics and gynecology, or because of being with Dr. Canizero, I might want to specialize in orthopedic surgery. It was really great to be with you. Really appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Hello everybody, my name is Marris, and my work placement for work-based learning was at Marris, which is here in Casanova. So I thought it would be cool to start off with a brief history of Marquardt. So in 1925, these two guys with the same name, but they weren't at all related, started the business together, which I thought was fun. And then a year later, the first switches were placed in vacuums and radios. Marquardt became the first German company to produce snap action switches, and the company starts to expand more. In 1978, kind of a big one was their entry into the automotive industry, which is a big part of the company right now. In 1981, the first woman subsidiary is established, and 2009 to now, Marquardt helps to save electricity, and the company just continues to grow. They have a bunch of locations around the world, a lot of them in Europe, but a couple east and west. So what did I do at Marquardt? First, I shadowed some engineers. I met with a lot of the engineers and managers at Marquardt. So here's a few of them. Ed Limbert, the engineering manager, Matt Voorhees, the industrial engineer, Kevin Thompson, plant general manager, and John Ryan, industrial engineer. You guys are here, thank you so much. Next, one of the big projects that I worked on towards the end of my placement was working with a robot and learning about basic programming. So on the next slide, I have a little video that might load. Not the best quality, but with the help of Matt, we programmed it to just like draw a little square on a piece of paper. And it seems simple, but it was really fun to just get a basic understanding of that. You can go to the next one. And then the second project that I worked on was building a Jenga tower, which was kind of tricky to get started at first. The robot did not like how we were trying to program it. It was being very stubborn. But essentially we just had it, it has a camera on it, so we were able to program the camera to scan the surface and actually find these pieces and then go and pick them up and place them on a tower to build a Jenga tower. I don't have a final picture, unfortunately, but it was a very fun project. And then I also toured the production floor and saw a lot of the assembly lines and how the different switches were made. I also toured the tool room and like the plastic molding facilities, which was very interesting. Unfortunately, I don't have any photos because it is all ITAR regulated, so it's all like top secret. But yeah. So what have I learned from my experience? I learned the real career of engineering, which was a lot different from what I expected, but still super interesting and exciting. I learned the importance of connections and communication in a work setting. I learned the functions of a company and business, so while I was there, not only did I shadow engineers, but I also shadowed marketing and HR departments. So to learn just the basic functions of a company and business was very interesting. I also learned that quality is extremely important, especially in the automotive industry. While I was wandering around, they did like a ton of testing, like everywhere, weather testing, strength testing. It was super important that the switches were up to a high standard. And then how every single component of a design matters, and so much more. So, work-based learning is amazing. I've learned so much about the real world. I've confirmed my interest in mechanical engineering with awesome opportunity for me to be able to take this class and make sure that what I thought I wanted to do is what I wanted to do. It taught me how to work with people and communicate, gave me important life skills that I may not have gained elsewhere, and more. So my future plans, I'm going to attend Stony Brook University for mechanical engineering. Again, this opportunity to be in this class was just amazing, and I'm so grateful for everybody's help and all the opportunities that I've been given to go here. So thank you so much, everybody.
Hi everybody, I'm Mya.
I'm Ciara.
And for my work-based learning experience, I was at the St. Joseph's doctor's office rating CAS. That was my first placement. And then I went to the Upstate Specialty Services Center at Harrison Center, and then Cross Community Center in Morrisville.
And my first placement was Broden Street Elementary School and then Upstate Hospital and Cross Community Center in Morrisville.
So our experiences, so in the beginning of the year, from like October to December, that's when I was at St. Joseph's Health Doctor's Office in Casanova.
And that's where I went to Broden Street.
And then January 26th and then May 7th, that's when we went to Upstate Hospital. So we actually were there the whole entire day for 2 days.
And then January 29th, 2024 to present, we're at Cross Community Center in Morrisville.
So this is St. Joseph's Doctor's Office in CAS. So this is some of the staff. This was on Halloween when all the nurses dressed up as Sesame Street characters, and then they wanted me to wear my Halloween costume for the singing parade, so I walked in with my minion. Which they thought it was like so funny, but meanwhile I was knocking over every single thing that I could find. But it was okay. And then this is another picture with everybody. I believe they're all nurses. Yeah, all nurses. And yeah, they were all in the front desk. Doctor. This is the team. So Lisa, she's one of the nurses, and she's really the nurse that I always looked up to. She was the nurse that I would always be shadowing and going into rooms with. So she was my bestie. And then Maureen, she was the nurse manager and coordinator that kind of helped me get going into St. Joseph's Health Center, and she was the person that kind of looked after me and made sure everything was okay when I was there. So some things that I did there was I shadowed nurses, learned about the system they use, which is Epic, I believe that's what it's called. Appointment protocols, like how they made the appointments and how appointments were scheduled and what they needed to put into the system for the appointments. And then vaccines and medicines, so the type of vaccines that they would give people and medicines that they would give people with, depending on the certain problem that they came in with. And then what I learned was charts and types of information that a nurse needs to put into a chart, scheduling appointments, process of taking patient vitals. So I would go into the patient room with the nurses, so I would see them take all the vitals, blood pressure, heart rate, pulse, and so that was a really cool experience to just see all that. And then patient care, so bedside manner.
So my first placement, Broden Street Elementary School. This was my pre-K class, and this was around October, so we were all dressed up in our costumes. So this is the team. Jenny Bailey, she's the pre-K teacher, and Kelly Isabel, she is the pre-K teacher. So some tasks, I observed interactions between the teachers and students, classroom management, and offered support to
snacks, so we at least would. Yeah. So. Oh, and then the first time we went there, Michaela Tobin was with us, and then the second time it was Ciara and I.
So, Molly Brown, she's the nurse anesthetist. So some tasks, we shadowed nurses preparing patients for surgery. Stood next to the OR table and watched the whole surgery, sat in pre-op with the patient, and returned the patient back to the room.
Your some more snacks. We couldn't take pictures, like in the OR, but that's like the locker room that we were in, and, you know, us getting all ready. Of course. What we learned, so the process of preparing patients for surgery, roles of everyone in the OR and how surgeries are done, post-op procedures and what the nurses do. That was actually a cool experience because one of the nurses that we actually shadowed went to a college that we're actually both going to, so we got to kind of learn some insight with her in the nursing program when she went there, so that was actually kind of cool. How doctors and nurses act in the OR and types of surgeries, obviously specialty center too, most frequently.
So our third placement, Krause Community Center. So this is the main dining room, the back patio, and then one of the rooms. Those are like old pictures.
So this is Marris. She's the director of nursing. She pretty much got us into Krause Community Center in Morrisville, and she would look after us and make sure everything was okay. And then every single month, we would change the department that we were shadowing, and she would be in charge of that, of placing Ciara and I in which department.
So our task, we shadowed CNA with physical therapy process and exercise, and viewed the process of how admissions into the nursing home works.
Here are some pictures with the staff. So this is the whole physical therapy team. And this is the speech therapist. Fun story. One of the times we got there, I think it was him. He was thinking about his dogs. And we walked in and he was like, oh, where are the dogs going today? So, because he was like, so he called us his dogs. So every time we would go there, we were known as the dogs to everybody. Yeah. And then this is the admission city and social worker. That's Marie. And then this is Heather and that's Abby. We shadowed them in May with the med cart and like watching them pass meds.
So what we learned, the process of admitting patients into a nursing home, types of exercises that therapists have for elderly, treatment of elderly and medical students, how a nursing home is organized, and different types of sicknesses and diseases that each person deals with.
So our next steps, we're actually both attending St. John Bishop University in the fall. I am double majoring in nursing and psychology.
And I am going for pre-med, and hopefully my sophomore year go into the nursing program.
I plan on getting my master's at Fisher in psychiatric nurse practitioner and then getting a job at Strong Hospital out in Rochester. This is a little quote. When you're a nurse, you know that every day you will touch a life or a life will touch yours. I wanted to say thank you to Mrs. New because we know not only with our placement but with everyone in our class it was like stressful, but you still walked in every day with a big smile on your face. And then Mrs. Hobby, thank you for everything that you did because you were getting thousands of texts every day. And then the people that we were with, everyone's fantastic. Thank you.
All right, good morning, everybody. My workplace learning experience was at I had an educational rotation and I was at real estate. Overview, I was in the first grade classroom, in the ESL classroom, physical education classroom, and I worked at properties. The first room I was in was Mrs. Smith's room. I had this year as a full year placement because I
I had an independent study and work-based learning, so I wasn't just working every other morning, I was working every morning. Responsibilities in the classroom were to supervise the children, set up and take down children's work, pass out papers, and running errands. Fun fact, last year I did Teachers for Tomorrow with Ms. McDowell. So I've been with this exact same classroom for 2 years in a row. And Ms. Smith had a lead classroom, so she went from kindergarten to first grade, so the exact same students. What is a normal day in the classroom? I worked one-on-one with students that needed a little bit of extra help. I assigned students their chair choices and led the morning meeting. A big part of what I did there was teaching integrity, which is a reading system. Took a water break, started to go noodle, and then it was time for me to leave most of the time. Physical education. I only spent a little bit of time in this physical education program. My mom kind of convinced me to try it out because two of my biggest mentors actually were physical education teachers at our history, so I thought I'd give it a try. I don't think it was my thing, but when I was there, I worked with pre-K students, 3rd grade and 4th grade students. I helped set up before students arrived and cleaned up before they left. ESL placement. I worked with Ms. Cole in English, second language learning classroom. I worked with high schoolers in this. It wasn't my favorite either, but I definitely got a good experience out of it. All these placements made me realize that I belong in the first grade classroom, and I want to thank everybody else for this stuff. I also worked with my dad at Limestone Creek Properties that he just opened. He's a real estate agent that just opened his own business. When I was there, I observed him, I picked up signs with him, we went to the post office, and I labeled a lot of envelopes. What did I learn when I was there? I learned how deals are made and how the prices can fluctuate on the market, and how to find information on houses on and off the market. Alright, next year I'll be attending Utica University, majoring in elementary education. Thank you for everybody that had me placed in the video. It really meant a lot to me, and it definitely solidified my decision to go into education.
Great, so I'm Kuper. I interned with the local attorney. He is not here today. He is at trial. He actually wasn't here most of the time. But I got to sit in his office. Yeah, so I could have made a little presentation about him. His rap sheet's pretty long. But he went to JD High School. He studied undergraduate at Vermont, and he went to Syracuse College of Law to be a Juris Doctor, and got another degree at the Maxwell School at Syracuse University. His experience, I didn't put all of it. He's got like 30 other internships before he became a judge advocate in the U.S. Army. He worked for Newman and Lichtenstein and Capitavia and Williams, and now he runs his own law office in town. So I actually have a unique experience with Matt. Me and him joined the fire department at the same time, and we attended firefighting class together, which is called EFO. So I actually never was interested in being a lawyer or anything like that. Probably was going to just follow my dad's steps before that, but Matt convinced me after those 3 classes a week for 2 months, 79 hours of EFO. And yes, that's how it all started. So this is where I went. Most of my time was spent at his law office. Most of the time he actually wasn't there. So he kind of just left me assignments, and I worked on those. I'll talk about those assignments later. The farthest place I went was Fort Drum. So Matt actually made me drive to Fort Drum so he could bill clients on his way there. Yeah. I went to Madison County Courthouse. This is by far the nicest courthouse I've ever been to, or that I went to. And I actually was going with Matt, but Matt's client didn't show up. So I got to go to the top. You see the tippy top of the courthouse, which is actually called a court theater. And I got to listen to a very long rape trial. So that was very interesting. And yeah, I went to Oneida City Courthouse. I went there twice. This was the court that I was most involved in. Matt actually, the second time we went, left me alone with some of his clients where they questioned where I got my law degree. We also went to Madison County Jail. This was kind of a random thing. One of Matt's clients was incarcerated, and we went to go meet with him. But the prison guards told me that I should never wear a hood to the prison again. I don't know. This is the first court I went to. Believe it or not, it's actually in a basement. It's got, I mean, I don't know. This was the first place I went. It was kind of interesting because I thought court was a lot more serious until I went here. That's not very serious again, so I guess. I went to the clerk's office in Jefferson County, which is right in Watertown. We went there right after fourth drum. I think it was because we were trying to waste some time, so I didn't have to go back to school. Yeah. So that's what I did. Yeah. I did estate planning, life estates, and traffic tickets. And the interesting thing about this picture is it's my own traffic ticket. So yeah, I didn't have to pay for a lawyer because I did it myself. And for the life estates, I drafted a couple wills and revised others. Yeah. So I also did some real estate transactions, which was also interesting because the real estate transaction was between my dad and Matt, because my dad sold Matt a house that he shortly sold after. And then I worked with the New York State Comptroller's Office, where I made me and my buddy's business an official LLC. So if you guys need anything, call me in 2 weeks because I'm a little swamped right now. So as much as Matt taught me, I taught Matt a few things. I taught him what a 0.5 picture is. First time I took one of him, he asked me why I didn't take a full picture. He asked why I only took half. And I taught him a go-to Chipotle order because I was also trying in this school. My future plans is to go to James Madison University, where I'll study political science. And yeah. So if you look at this comparison, obviously I was like Mike Ross, practicing law without a law degree. Yeah, but I'd like to thank everybody. I'd like to thank Mr. Fulvio for letting me not go to school, Ms. Hagan for not letting me go to school, Mrs. New for all the coordination, and Mrs. Hobby to responding to half the text I sent when I was with.
I'm Fletcher. I did my work-based learning at the Village of Kaz as the I counted on my placement from working for the village last summer, and I'm also a member of the fire department. I've been for like 2 years. My mom's a member, so yeah, so I found out about my placement. What did I learn? I learned the responsibilities of the DPW, which is the Department of Public Works, the Water Department, and the Fire Department. Who taught me? This is Bill Carr. He's worked for the village for 24 years, and he's a 48-year member of the fire department, so he's really old. And, he taught me a lot of stuff. that big, it's called Broden Enders, they're printing it across the elementary school. So we went there a ton, and I learned about fire codes and what Bill looks for when he's doing a building inspection. I learned a lot about sprinkler systems too. I learned about our local water system, so I went up to Water Lane where we have our whole pump house and stuff, and it provides our whole village with water. And I learned about how that works and what kind of chores we need to do to upkeep that. I also, there's some other stuff I learned. I wrote a training plan for the fire department, which mostly only officers do, but I wanted to write one, so I did. I created a new pamphlet for our recruitment and retention committee that I'm part of. I did a police ride-along at one point. I learned about writing tickets and more. I learned that cops don't use their seatbelts when they're driving around. Yeah. My favorite thing that I did was writing fire department training. I wrote a mass casualty incident training, so I did like a school bus crash scenario, and I had kids from the school come in and be victims, and we had KVAC come. So I thought it went really well, and I wrote that during work-based learning. And next year, well this summer, I'm going to go work for the village again. They'll give me a raise, so I stayed on. And I'm going to Syracuse University next year for public health.
Hello, I'm Margaret Huftalen. I had some slides before, I don't know what happened, technical difficulties. I did shout out local real estate agent, Delanie Dowling, but first I went to an elementary school and I shadowed a second grade teacher, Mrs. Condon, and that was really interesting experience. Learned that I probably would not be good in the classroom, but it was fun, funding out the kids, and I learned how to like interact with adults and that kind of stuff. But my second placement, again, real estate. So I started in January 2024. I go to the Hagan office in Casanova and Okay, what did I do? I made social media posts for new listings, recently sold homes, that kind of thing. We went out and looked at different homes in the Casanova area, and I created market analysis for new listings. These are some examples of what I made. This is like a little tip segment we made. This is a house for sale and like videos of like the new listings. And then this is a video of the office, like giving me the tour and like telling people to come in. So why is social media so important as a real estate agent? Obviously it's marketing, that's like your main thing as a real estate agent. And it's also where you build connections with people in your community and like let them know about new houses for sale and like what you're selling and all that kind of stuff. These are some more graphics I made. Yeah, that was another good one. Comparables, I also did a lot of this. Agents use MLS to buy and sell properties, but they also use it to find previously sold houses to help really price a new home. And you look for things such as like location, square footage, and different property types in your business. So my takeaways from this placement was the importance of connections in your community. That's so important as a real estate agent, like just building connections with people around you. And also I learned how much like your persona on social media like affects business, like things that you post in other business, like how that'll affect your